So we're going to get into cyber tips and tricks. We're in part 2, week 3 already. We only got one more, week 3. This is it. All right. So we are going to cover some mobile technology tonight with the phones, and then answer some of your questions. So it might wrap up a little early tonight, depending on how things go. Hopefully we can get through some content and then maybe spawn some additional questions. So other than that, let's get started. All right, this week we're going to be talking about some iPhone features that I found that are really neat. I think you're going to like those. I put the step-by-steps in the instructions, and what I'll also do is I will add a link onto the live streams later tonight that will have that documentation on it as well. Make sure everybody can get to that, and then answer a few questions that you've given me to try to answer. All right, so for some useful iPhone features tonight, what we're going to do is, since I don't, let's see here, usually I would take the port out and attach it to my phone, but since I'm kind of running both streams at the moment, I didn't think that through until just now, and I forgot the little dongle that goes in the side here. But we're going to walk it through, and then what I will do is I will, for the folks online, and actually too, there's going to be a follow-up video. Actually, there are 2 follow-up videos already out there. So these 2 video shorts go through what I'm about to show you. All right, but I like to do it since we're in person and we're doing it. It's nice to be able to kind of walk through it a little more easy, a little more slowly to see what's going on. Because when you're doing a YouTube short, you got 1 minute to get all this like information in, and you got to get the key parts and steps in. But here tonight, it'd be a little easier to go through it little bit by little and ask questions along the way. All right. So going back to security, I don't know if I talked about this in the first class. I don't know. I think we didn't have time for this. So I put it step by step together, and if you can see that, I think I have it broadcast on the live stream as well. So how do you know if your password is breached? How do you know if it's compromised, if it's safe? A lot of people, me, myself included, will use the same password across different platforms, different accounts, right? And I just gave away a key component. Oh yeah, Steve Warner, he uses this password. So yeah, not always, but in some cases they are. I mean, we do, because it's what we remember. How many of you saw, like, when you go to create a password, there's a new feature on your phone that gives you this long password? Ever seen the encrypted passwords? Those are nice, and for the most part, if your phone has the ability, it will save it in the keychain anyway. So, but if you had to remember that, there is no way, because I think it's like, I don't know, 30 characters long. It's got dashes, numbers. There's no words. It's all symbols in Greek. It's ridiculous. But I'm a passphrase kind of person, and I always try to follow my own rules. The ones that are prescribed that we know from cybersecurity is 10 characters or more. If you can make it a passphrase, that's great. Uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols, all that jazz, right? So that's what I try to do with mine.
Remind me what a passphrase is.
Passphrase. Okay, so a passphrase, I don't have it, I think it was in one of the other pieces of literature. Passphrase would be something like you could recognize, like, let's say, one of the famous examples I like is "Where's the beef?" Right? Or "Where's the beef?" in a year, like 1985. But you would take that phrase and change some things. So like the 3E would be 3. You could use an @ sign for a letter A, put some symbol, you just kind of substitute some characters.
Now I remember that.
All right, now you got it. Okay, yeah, because that's, because that to me is simple. The quick brown fox, lazy dog thing, the typing QWERTY thing back in the day. So in just adding and substituting symbols, that's probably the most comprehensive way to understand your own passwords. I went to school with a kid in high school that I don't know how he did it, but this was before encrypted passwords, but he would memorize he would have a 20-character password for all these different things, and it was like no one could remember it except him. He had some kind of photographic mind. It wasn't a passphrase. It was like @3 4B lowercase t tilde exclamation. I'm like, okay, you win. If you can remember that, that's great. All right, so I'm going to take us through the step-by-steps on how to secure or know if your account is subject or could be vulnerable to a data breach. All right. So on this screen, where we're going to start is with the settings. So on my phone here, I'm going to go up to the settings area, and then as I scroll down, going down to the passwords, the gray key down at the bottom for passwords. So if you can see that on screen. So under passwords, you have a couple different options as well. We're not going to go through all these, but most of them, I'm showing you my code. So it is going to ask you, when you go to passwords, it's going to ask you to validate your credentials, your PIN code, if you have one. So password options, security recommendations. If you look on the security recommendations here, this is from a different phone. There's 101 security recommendations. Now, I don't have a lot on this one. There's a green check mark next to it, so it's saying I'm pretty well clear on security here. So that's why I have some additional screenshots here. So 101 potential security risks found. Now, this could be passwords that have actually been found to be breached in a database. Apple does have a database that it will reach out to. It will let your phone go out and say, hey, there's a database on Apple's website that says these potential passwords could have been breached. You may want to change them, or these accounts, or this specific organization, more so. It's kind of a higher level. So if you have like a Yahoo account, or you have AOL, or going back a little bit more, Netscape, CompuServe, these older accounts, or newer ones. If your VA was a big one hit years ago, actually less than that, probably about a year and a half ago. UPS, FedEx, if those breaches have been publicized and Apple has uploaded that content, then you're going to get an alert saying, this password has appeared in a data leak. Can you read it on the sheet there? Does that come through okay, or is that too small?
I can read it.
Okay, I tried to make it a little bit bigger, but it was kind of difficult. So in this security recommendation on the phone, when I went into the recommendations, there was 101 different recommendations. I had to make sure that detect compromised passwords was turned on. If that's not turned on, then you won't see any of this. You have to have it turned on, and it has to be compiling data on a regular basis. So the reason mine on my demo phone wasn't, because I just kind of turned it on about a week ago, and I didn't think to put more accounts on here to have some example data. So we'll use the stuff that I had from my other phone. So it's saying that's turned on. So what this is saying is your phone can securely monitor and let you know, make you aware of the potentials for threats. So in this case, there's some high priorities that came out. Facebook was one of them. Go figure. Facebook is a target all the time. And it's saying here that, again, the password has appeared in a data leak, which puts your account at high risk of compromise. You should change your password immediately. I took these screenshots about 5-6 months ago, so that's already been cleared up, but it's a good example. And I blurred some stuff out that nobody else needs to see. But here's the thing we can do. So if I click on that threat, all right, it's going to take me to the next. It's going to open up another screen, and it's going to tell me more about this Facebook.com threat. All right. So it's going to say your password was last modified on this date, which it says there at 1/26/20. So is that following? No, why? Yeah, you're shaking your head. No,
You
that's
said
not.
that we're supposed to change it every couple months.
Yeah, right. Every 6 to 12 months, and here
2020.
here it goes. Yeah, I got 1/26/2020 is the last time it's been changed. Whack. All right. Secure. So that's good. It's letting me know, right? And here's the thing: a lot of people don't know these settings even exist, and that's why these classes, and that's why YouTube, that's why Facebook, that's why we do these things, because it's amazing of what we don't know. That's, and I'll show you some more stuff tonight. Some of the fun feature type things that we can do. So yeah, and it's saying you're also reusing the password, blah, blah, blah. You know, it just says on this website. The risk to this account, if one of those accounts was compromised, you should change your password immediately. Got it. All right. Okay, so here's 2 breaches, right? 2 vulnerabilities, or the potential of threat is A, I haven't changed it since 2020, and B, I'm reusing it on multiple other accounts. What's the solution? Well, here what I can do is I can either click on change password, and it will take me right to the Facebook, right to the secured website for that account. All right, it's not going to take me to some, link that I got to email spam. It says, hey, you better do this now. Click here, phishing attempt, right? Now all of a sudden somebody else has my data. So all that is to say, okay, I go to the website, and I took that piece out where it actually goes to Facebook because I only had so much screen size, right? Goes to the website, I change it. Now I've changed that password, but that password is still stored in my Apple or my phone keychain. All right, which basically, if you have it synced across a couple different devices, which some do, you have an iPad, you have an iPhone, you may have another Apple device, same with Android. You have multiple devices, there's ways you can sync all that up between different devices. Well, I don't want that on my phone anymore because I've got a new password, right? So I'm going to delete that old password from my keychain. And it's going to synchronize that delete across all my devices if it's set up to do so. So that breach, gone. Does that kind of help things a little bit?
Will it delete from all the devices? Is that what you said?
It will, yes. It will sync that delete and deletion from the keychain, which is basically across all your devices. So if I have that same password and keychain set up on my iPad, it's going to take it off there as well.
I had no idea that all that stuff was stored on your settings.
Oh yeah.
So like Facebook password, I would have thought,
everything.
well, that's Facebook. It's not.
Everything.
Your
so
iPhone.
If you know, I don't know if you've ever looked on your, when you go into, I'm going to bring something up here. Oh, I'm just going to bring up, let's see, what did I download recently? I'm going to go into, let's see, I'm going to bring up Apple TV. Actually, I just canceled that. But I'm still going to bring it up because I'm not going to enable notifications, but I am going to try to log in. And so when it comes up to the password area or the account, it says sign in required. Okay, now I'm not sure if it's going to do it on this particular device. Let's see. But typically, there's going to be, and it's not going to do it on this one right now for some reason. So I just set it up. There's going to be a little key next to it, or a key down here in that, right above the keyboard. All right, look, a little house key. That's your keychain. And if all that data is synchronized across your devices, you should be able to click on that keychain, and it will bring up your stored passwords in the device, everything in the device. So since you didn't realize that was there, that may be a thing for next week we talk about. Actually,
that would have to go and look at all
yeah,
the payment methods.
yeah. So and I'm not gonna, since we're on live streaming, I don't want to mess around with it because I want to have it down for sure. But it is in settings, and you can go into look up keychain, and then I'll have that whole link set up for next week. So that'll be fun to go through. Again, things we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is a good one. Has anybody ever tried to get a refund from Apple? It is probably the best way Apple makes money is on people who miss their free trial refunds. And it's a very tight kept secret from Apple on how to do it. Okay, so Apple has a policy that if you purchased an app or purchased had a subscription and you did a free trial and it renewed or went in off the free trial and now you're paying $9.99 a month, and all of a sudden, I don't know if you like us, but every so many, I don't want to say months or cycles, I guess, my kids, because we have a family account and we're all shared, I'll start seeing all these like amounts coming in. I'm like, $1.99 for this, $4.99 for that. Like, where are all these fees coming from? Well, it's everybody's free trials that they got that are starting to expire, and now it automatically will roll in because they don't give you the option anymore of, put your credit card in when you want. No, it's you put your credit card information in now, you put your Apple Pay information in now, or whatever you're using, and when it expires on that time slot, you're just going to get it. They don't give you the option. So, but they do give you the option. This is the process, unfortunately, and I'm very. I tell you what, I love doing what I'm doing for a lot of reasons, but this short that I did, it's been a couple months now I've done it, has gotten almost 30,000 views. And there have been so many people texting me and thanking me for saving them money because they had no idea how to do this. I mean, there's probably up to maybe several $100s that people have saved or gotten back because of this, because they didn't know where to go and how to do this, which is sad because you want to have, you want to be able to be confident in a company. But the thing is, as the Apple Store goes, I mean, you go on, there's millions and millions and millions of apps out there that anybody can download. So Apple gets a significant part of that. The developer gets part of that. And I think we talked about the first night that some of those apps really aren't too great. Some of them actually have viruses built into them. So what do? I've got an app, it expired, and now I'm paying for this. I don't want it. So again, on your worksheet, first thing you're going to do is go to the Apple receipt that you got in your email. First step, because they don't really give you a very clear option to do it in the app itself. It's pretty much web driven. So if I brought mine up here, let's see. And the easiest way to do this, which goes back to your how do I manage my email kind of thing, right? Which we'll talk about tonight. I can go in there and I can say, I'm going to hit the search bar here for Apple. Let's see. And I've got all my Apple purchases that have been coming up here, all my receipts. And there's also a really good way too, in Outlook, you can set up a rule and you can say anytime an Apple receipt comes in, I want it to go to a folder automatically. Then that folder is set up and it's just for receipts, just for those kind of things. I love that feature. I'm off topic. Let me get back on here. All right, so I'm going to pull up one of my Apple. All right, where are you? Oh, it's going back here a bit. Oh, I'm in the wrong account here. Okay. So anyway, you bring up your receipt from your email that you've gotten, and it's going to be kind of buried down there is a link. All right, and on that link is going to have what does it say there? You see that on your paper because it's not coming up too well on mine.
No.
Can't. Okay, hold on here. I'm going to bring up the screenshot that I took earlier. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to kind of zoom in. It's going to say visit Apple support. Visit Apple support. And it's a link buried in the email. All right, visit Apple support. Once you click that link, it's going to take you to billing and subscriptions. And it's going to give you some options. You can cancel your subscription, you can view your purchase history, or you can request a refund. One of my favorites. Request a refund. Hey. So if I click on the request a refund, it takes me to another window. And again, now you're kind of web driven. It's more using Safari now than anything. So the next one is another link. So it's saying, okay, to request a refund for your apps or contents that brought you from Apple. So anyway, it tells you how to request a refund. So I'm going to click on that link, and we keep going. So now we're at a screen that we can do something with. Okay, I've gotten through the gatekeepers or the struggles. You know, how many times it's like you want to go do something, you say, okay, I got to get this done today. I got to go pay this bill today. You get into the steps, you get distracted, and then you forget where you were. You come back to it, it's like, oh, where was I? Well, I almost kind of feel that's why those first three are there. It's like, okay, we'll just keep distracted. All right, so now you're going to say, okay, what can we help you with? Well, I would like to request a refund. All right, request a refund. And there's other options there. I mean, there's report a quality issue, report scam or fraud, report abusive, illegal, or abusive content, and so forth. But all we're interested in is getting the money back from the free trial that expired. All right? All right, so next we're going into, tell us more. So tell us more is a couple different options here. And at this point, it really doesn't matter which one you pick. I typically will do the one that I didn't mean to buy this. Other ones there are, let's see here. A child or minor made purchase without my permission. Yeah, that happens. That happens. I mean, I didn't mean to sign up for a subscription. I didn't intend to renew a subscription, or my purchase doesn't work as expected. There's another one there, I think, for in-app purchase not received. That's a big one occasionally. I know my son and I, a couple years ago, were playing an online app game, and some of these apps are really addicting, or these games are addicting. You're into something, and then all of a sudden, like, you've reached the max, but you don't feel like you're done with the game, right? So now they give you the option to go purchase more coins. All right? Now you can purchase to help you move to the next level of the game. And I have done that occasionally, especially when I'm so close to beating my son. Or my daughter, for that matter. We're getting to that next level. So you say, okay, I'm going to spend $3.99 for 100 coins to do whatever. And you don't get those 100 coins. For whatever reason, you made the purchase. Well, that's why that button is there. All right, so full disclosure, how Steve spends his time on certain apps, in-app purchases are a thing. And there are some legitimate ones. There are actually apps that you can buy the standard version, and in order to upgrade or get certain features, there's a whole list of them there, and say, okay, I want this, this, and this, and then you pay the fees, whether it's a monthly fee or a one-time fee for that specific feature. All right, so in this case, we just didn't mean to buy this. All right, it expired. So we get past that. And now we're over to, well, which app is it? Now this is where it's going to take you. Oh, before I want to tell you something else. Before you got here, there was an authentication that happened here, which means you had to put your password, your username, password, or just your PIN code at this stage right here, which again didn't have enough screen time, screen space, so cut that out. Once you authenticate, you put your PIN code in, then it moves you to these next steps. That's how it knows, oh, here are all the apps you need or you purchased. So I can go in and say, okay, in this case, there was this one, I actually did this just for an example purpose, because I have other folks that have emailed me on this same short saying, well, what about if I did something using the Cash App? What if I purchased something using a gift card from Apple? Well, that's the next video coming up. Teaser alert, trailer alert. How do I get my money back on those, non-Apple Pay, sources? So anyway, I picked the one that I thought, well, it's $2.99 plus tax, and then I said, okay, that's the one I want. I click that, I hit the submit button, and after that I will get the next screen, again, which I could not fit on here, was in 48 hours I should have my refund, or should be processed within 48 hours. Now here's the caveat. If you've made a purchase within 90 days, very good chance you're going to get your money back pretty quickly. All right. After 90 days, it's probably not going to happen. 100% chance it's probably not going to happen. But in their disclaimer, when you read, which, okay, did you take time? Yes, I did take time and go through and read some of these user license agreements so I could tell others about them. It is always Apple's decision whether they're going to refund your money or not. All right, because again, they want to keep their money, they want to keep their clientele that develop the apps happy, and if all they're doing is refunding things every day, you get the picture. They want to stay in business.
Can you only do one at a time?
Nope, you can do more. I could have clicked that button there too.
Oh.
Yep, absolutely. So anyway, once I did that, then I got an email saying we received your refund request. We'll be processing that in the next 48 hours. Again, the other part of that is once they approve it, and people have asked me this too, well, hey, I haven't got my money back yet and it's been 3 weeks. Well, depends on your bank. And I always tell them, if you've gotten the receipt that says, if you've got the response back from Apple saying it's been approved, take that to the bank or call them and say, hey, I'm still waiting for money. Because, YouTube is worldwide, Apple is worldwide, different monetary systems, EU currency, whatever, may take longer periods of time. Some people don't get their money back. So I would say I've had about, all the times I've done it, anywhere from an 80, 85, 90% success rate in getting my money back. The longer you let it go though, the longer you wait, the slimmer the chances are that you're going to get your money back. You definitely don't want to breach the 90 days. Once you hit that, then they're like, well, you've used it for this long, why are we giving you money back? So, all right. Any questions on that? All right. Very cool. All right. So let's move on to some features. All right, so we've gone through the security feature, gone through getting some money back on an app. By the way, just before I do move on, do you have any, can you try that? Do you have any examples that, hey, I'm going to go home and see if I can get this money back or something like that? Or
For me, I was going to say, I could mention it to my kids. I only put in gift cards for Apple, so I never put in my accounts. But I know my son has, and usually when I see it, I'll do a snapshot, send it to them and say, who bought this, and $10.99, is this what you want? Yeah. So for him to look, I think it would be helpful. Yeah. Because I think he's put in his account.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's what we had. When we had the account set up for the kids now, it's like they want something, they know how to get it from their account. And I had this conversation with one particular family member saying, you have 30 app purchases in here. And the good news was some of it was, it looked like they were hacked. Something happened, and you have to be careful when you're making app purchases, do it inside the app store. If an app takes you outside the app store to a website, which they do a lot, so I'm using whatever app this is, it's a game, it's whatever, and it says, hey, to upgrade, press this, or watch this ad. That's the big one. Watch this ad to get more points, and then what happens is the ad's there, and then you click on that ad, well, that ad could take you outside the App Store. Now you're in the wild. You're not inside the safety or the pseudo safety of apps that have been developed and they have been reviewed and all that stuff. Now you're on a website that you don't know what. You put your credit card information in, you put your PayPal. A lot of them are better now about doing PayPal because I don't know why, but it just seems like I think they get their money quicker through PayPal. But it's also, what we found is it's easier to get your money back from PayPal a lot quicker. We've had a good success rate with that. But yeah, if you're in the app, make sure if you do any upgrades, you're choosing from the App Store, the Google Play Store, whatever it is, not outside. All right, let's talk about the focus feature. I didn't start using this until, I don't know, probably last year and a half. No, it's probably shorter than that. Probably since the last big upgrade, I'm trying to think maybe 13 or 14, iOS 13 or 14. They really made the focus feature very user-friendly. Has everybody ever heard of the focus feature?
I know that it annoys me when it asks me if I'm driving all the time.
Okay, yeah.
And I
Well, that,
don't know what it was.
that's
but
different,
it
yeah.
always is asking, and I thought maybe that was on there. That driving at the bottom. It's always
Yes.
asking.
We'll talk about that. And there's another place to go in there for that as well because it does detect motion and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so, but that's a safety feature.
It's none of their business.
You're right, you're right.
I'm a passenger, assume I don't drive.
Exactly, right, and I have that all the time. So yes, you can turn that off if you'd like, if you're the passenger. So again, focus feature is nice because what I can do, I just swipe down on my phone, I can go into focus. And there are a bunch of already built-in focus features on the, and I'm using iOS 16, so it's the fully upgraded version. Because I've always used Do Not Disturb. You know, I'll be somewhere and I'll tap. Now there's a difference here when you're looking at that focus. I don't have the other screen on here, but if I'm in the control panel, the control window, and I tap the moon feature of that focus, it will turn it on and off. If I tap the wording, then it takes me into the settings of that focus itself, okay? And at that, just the basic front end settings, I can say, well, I want to turn this focus on for 1 hour. I want to turn it on until tomorrow morning, or until I leave this location, which right now it has me at nearby State Route 26. So it knows where I'm at. So if I was to select that focus feature, oh, it keeps timing out on me because I have it set really, really tight. Oh, I want you. You're really pesky today. There we go. I can change my settings. So remember we talked, I think, last week about your geographic settings. So this is one of the reasons why you'd want to keep them on, because it's going to use your geolocation for when you leave different places and say, hey, I'm going to turn this off now because you left that bubble. You know, because it's going to put what they call a geofence around a certain area. So it knows when you break the fence, I forget what the actual distance is, but it knows that I've been here for an hour or whatever. When I get in my car and I start going outside that geofence, this is going to turn off. Oh, you've left, so you're apparently not focused anymore, so here you go. The other ones on here is personal. And we go through here a little bit. So again, we have the Do Not Disturb 1 hour, and then your different durations. I'm just going to use this one specifically, the Do Not Disturb one, because on this one, let me find it here, you can tell it that, okay, I want to be on Do Not Disturb, or I want to be in a certain focus, but if certain people call, I want to make sure I don't miss those calls. All right, or I'm driving and hey, I'm the passenger. I don't care about any of that stuff, all right? So how would I turn on more of a personalized focus to say, okay, if I'm like, I'll just pick one I have here. So my sleep one I have set up. So this one here I have set up, so when I go into the custom settings of that focus, for example, I can tell it I want certain people to be able to get through to me if I'm in this focus mode. Okay, so my wife, my kids, they're going to be able to text me and call me, but no one else could. All right, no one else could. Now there's some caveats to that. I could say I want to silence notifications from certain individuals, but let everybody else through. So there's that one person I just don't want to hear right now. I don't want a phone call. I can put that on and say, okay, I'm in my study time. I don't want to hear from this person. Or the opposite, I want to allow notifications from only these people, no one else. And that's where this setting would be. Okay? And this is how you would set it up. So I would say allow notifications from my 2 kids and my wife. Okay? Now, what happens if I'm in this mode and my mother-in-law wants to get a hold of me? Something happened to Dad and she's trying to call me. Well, down here, there's this allow repeated calls turned on. So what this is going to do is if a certain individual, whoever it is, calls me 2 times, 2 times in 3 minutes. 2 times in 3 minutes. That second call is going to come right to me. It's going to come right through. So I won't miss that call. And that's the phone saying, well, you know what, this might be urgent. All right, or it might be spam. Because sometimes they call back. But Apple's done a very good job recently of detecting spam. I don't know what they've changed, but my spam risk comes up more now, letting me know it's spam than the actual number just saying, hey, answer this, right? If it comes up as spam risk, I know I'm not answering this. So anyway, that repeated calls being turned on allows that individual to contact me with the second phone call, because apparently it's that important. All right, let me grab a drink here real quick. So what about, okay, if I'm doing some study time and I'm in my reading mode and I want to have certain notifications come up from apps. All right, so I'm doing my Bible time and I want to get notifications excuse me, from my Bible app, but nothing else. I don't want to know Facebook notifications. I don't want Instagram notifications. I just want to be able to get notifications from 1 or 2 apps and maybe my messages. That's the only apps that are going to work while I'm in that mode. The only ones. Don't have to worry about nothing else. Facebook's quiet. Instagram's quiet. Social media's gone. I'm in my mode. All right? That's how that works. And again, once you click it and add it, there's no save or button to it. It's just there. It happens. So you can exit out of that screen and be done. The other thing I don't have on here, again, which is kind of a nice feature, is you can add, I have it on the other phone, I didn't do it on this one, you can add a background to your different modes. So for example, I'm going to go back into my focus. I'm going to bring up my work, and I'm going to customize my focus. I can come down here and I can choose a background for the lock screen and the wallpaper for when I'm in that mode. So it might be like, there were some ones they had in here that were like books and coffee or something like that, or there's one where it's just like moons and stars, you know, in sleep mode. So it gives you a kind of, again, everybody wants to customize their phones, right? Apple's like, sure, here you go. We're gonna give you one more feature, just another feature you can do to customize your phone. There's all kinds of stuff. Now the other thing too is you can add a schedule. So for example, I'm going to say for my reading time, I do that from 6:30 in the morning to 7:30 every morning. I can automatically schedule that time. Actually, there's a couple things on here. So automatically I can say, I'm going to set a schedule, and I can tell it the days of the week and what times those days I want that to happen. I can also tell it to location. So I can enter a location and say when I'm here at the church, or when I'm at work, or I get home. And it will automatically go into that mode for me. Or I can say an app. So I can say I want to go into reading mode when I open up the Books app, or open up the Bible app, or whatever app I decide to read from. It's going to go into that mode. It's going to automatically set all my focuses on all the people that can get me and the apps that can and all that stuff. And I'm just there doing my thing until it turns off, or I tell it to turn off. Any questions on the focus feature? Does that sound like something that you could use? Not really? No? Okay. I think it's neat. I think it's something that, it's useful if it can have a purpose. We've got one other thing you asked about. I don't have it on this one. But the driving thing, I will put that on. I need to remind myself for next week to look that up. I know where it's at. I don't want to, my eyes are kind of like buggy. It's been a long day. And I don't want to keep looking at the screen. But yes, turning on and off the driving app, and knowing how to go in and setting notification to let people know when you're driving. I don't know if you've ever done that, but you can do that as well. You can set an outgoing message that says to that person who's trying to text you that I'm currently doing whatever and I'm driving, and I'll get back to you when I can. All right. All right, so I want to answer some questions that you gave me from last week, and I only got, I think, a couple on here. I apologize. It's just been a busy, crazy week. I have not gotten to others, but I will definitely have more for next week as well. But one of the questions was how to manage my inbox. Okay, what are how do I sync to my phone to, all the different things I'm trying to manage. I've got a couple different things on here, just kind of like some starting points to go from. So the question I would have back is, what do you use the most? Your laptop or computer email, or your phone email, or is it a combination of both? Like a balance of both?
I mostly use my laptop.
Okay.
The only time I use the phone really is when we're traveling.
Okay. All right. So explain to me too so you were having an issue with the syncing up.
My inbox looks very clean. I
Okay.
don't have any trouble managing my inbox.
Okay.
My problem is that, like, I'll delete most of them because
Okay.
most of it's garbage to me.
Yeah, right.
But then if I go to my phone, they're still in my inbox on my phone.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I don't know how to fix.
Gotcha. Okay, so there is a feature for that, and it's primarily on the phone itself. What I usually have folks do, and I want to make sure I was clear on that answer before I went too far. If you go into, I may have to send this to you separately. Again, eyes being the thing right now. If I go into my mail settings, let me find it here real quick.
When you're in Outlook?
When I'm in, I'm going to go down to, in my apps here. What do I do with it? Authenticator. Yeah, let me actually go into the Outlook app. So under, if I click on, there's a button up top here, that green, well, yours might be different, but the inbox right next to that little bubble. And I click on that. There's a gear all the way at the bottom for settings. And in there, there is going to be a feature for push and pull as far as the timing of like how it is going to synchronize your data. How is it going to reach out to the mailbox and get the new information?
It's called push pull.
Yeah, I'm gonna find the actual name for it here in just a second. Okay. I know what this one's set up differently. Let's see. You know what? This doesn't have it on it because this one's set up for a different email. Yeah, let me just try something else here. Yeah, I didn't bring my phone with me that has that on it. Shoot. Set map, default. Yeah.
Or is there just a way I can highlight all of those
Oh, yeah.
in my inbox? Because, I mean, I can empty trash all at once in one
Yep.
fell swoop. I can empty
Right.
junk, but I haven't figured out how I can
On your phone?
highlight all those, yeah.
Okay. It's called flag, and that's kind of stop there for a moment. That answer I'm trying to find that I could at the moment, I'll come back next week and we'll answer that. Just for so happens when I set this up, I put my Gmail account on it instead of my Outlook account, so I don't have a one-to-one answer for that synchronization question. But in the app itself, when I'm in Outlook, that's a great feature because, for example, some of these here, if it's got the dot next to it, I haven't read it yet. It's still an unread email. I can, on my phone, I have this set up where if I swipe to the right, it's going to delete it. If I swipe to the left, it's going to flag it. And it puts a flag next to it. And that should synchronize with your Outlook as well. So if I flag something on Outlook in my app on the laptop or computer, it should show up with a red flag on it, and it will also highlight it. So if
I
you
don't
look,
think I can swipe on my laptop, though.
not your laptop, on your phone you can. So if you have your phone and you can see it there.
I'll try it.
But on the laptop, when you go in, it's the same icons are going to be there. So you're going to see like a little flag. If it has an attachment, you'll see a paper clip, and you might see like the date, the time next to
So
it.
swipe right to delete it?
On the phone, well, here's the kicker for that. I can change that, and if you haven't set it up for the first time, here's how you would do it. So if I go down to my settings, and it's right up the top here. And my right eye is really bothering me now. Swipe this one. It's called swipe options in Outlook. So
Under settings?
yes, under settings, it's
Okay.
called swipe options.
Okay.
So, and you only have two, unfortunately, because I guess you can't do swipe at the same time, both directions. So on here, it will say swipe right and swipe left, okay? So I have that set up already, but if I hit where it says swipe right, and I hit that box right there for delete, here's all the different options I can have swipe right do. And on there, I can archive it, flag and unflag. I can pin the email, which means it will put it to the top of the inbox, so I know to go back to it. I can mark it as read or unread. I can move it to a different folder if I wanted to. I can snooze, which means snooze it, and then it will, like a certain period of time, it will pop back up and ding, say, hey, you better read this. All right, and then read, archive, or read or archive or none. I love the flag feature. I use it all the time because whether I'm in my laptop at work or my phone, all I have to do is click the filter button at the top and say I want to see all my flags, that's things that are important to me. They will all source right up to the top. So anyway, so swipe left, I have the same options. So delete, archive, flag, unflag, pin, unpin, and those features, okay? So you don't have to have delete and flag, but they're the most popular because I like when I'm at home and I've seen all the emails, I'm just sitting there, swipe, 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 swipe. I'm just swiping like crazy. And if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, but right now I've been having to just go and
Yeah.
then delete,
right,
delete,
And you
delete.
already done
think.
it on your laptop.
Yes.
Well, here's the kicker too. I found this out by accident. You can actually swipe more than one. So I could just take my hand. Oh, I don't know if I don't know if I did that or not. I do. I went away already. I'll go back in my inbox later. It's quick. It's like, oh wait, do I have to do this now? Oh, sorry, Norm. So anyway, yeah, you can also go and say, where is it here? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, you can go in and just swipe all day long, so you don't have to confirm it. I mean, once you swipe it, I'm going to go to this one here. I mean, it's gone, and then it's on the undo.
I'm gonna try that. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a bunch of emails on my
Oh,
phone
I'm sure.
right now
Yeah.
that are not on my laptop.
Yeah. Let's see here.
I'll report back.
Okay, that's your homework assignment. Report back on the status of your
By the way,
emails.
I did look up support HP.
Oh
that
yeah.
My laptop isn't even in there anymore.
Isn't it
because
really?
it's
That
so
old?
So I couldn't pull up any info on
It's
it.
probably under like hp.support.dinosaur.com or something, you know.
I put in the information and it's not there.
Oh man. Well,
Because I really wanted to know if I could put a solid state drive in.
yeah. I would say if it's not there, then more than likely not. It's probably doesn't have the internal cabling for that. So. But, well, I'm glad you did that though. That's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. All right. So a couple things here is so we talked about managing some things here, looking at how do we delete things, archive things. There's also at the top. There's also a focused and other
Yeah.
button. I don't know if you've used those before.
Well, it kind of automatically does that for me.
Yeah.
Focus means, I think somebody that I've emailed and who's
Mhm.
responding
Yeah.
to me, and other is the rest.
Yeah, just the rest, right? Yeah, and you're right. It's things that I have responded to, or people have been, it's just it knows your contacts, and here's what those are, and because I get, I'll get questions from folks occasionally, like, well, I know I got that email, and it should, for a receipt, or somebody sent you something, and it's like I don't know where it's at. It's like, click the other button. What do you mean? What other button? At the top it says other. Oh, there it is, and it's like this epiphany moment. Oh, I see it. So anyway, also too, going back up to the inbox, that button, you can see all your different folders, your drafts, your archives, things that you've put in for later. Sent items, I'm always using sent. I want to know, okay, did I send this to this person? When did I send it? Why haven't they responded to me? So I'll go back and I sent this to them a month ago. Why don't I have a response? So deleted, junk, and then there's other folders in here that I created on the web version. Okay, so for some reason, there's not a really good option in the app to create folders. For example, I have some called education, FCI class, YouTube content ideas, Twitter, CompTIA, which is like classes I'm taking. So when I get information from those, I can put them right into those folders. Those are folders I created while I was on the laptop, all right, or on the computer that show up here, all right. I don't know why they don't have a feature. Maybe I'm missing it, but I've spent some time on this, and I can't see a feature where I can actually add additional folders while I'm in the app. So
Will those additional folders go to your phone then?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So once I create them on the web version of Outlook 365 or whatever I'm using, they will automatically appear on the app version. So yes. All right, the other thing we got here is if I'm looking at an email, I'm going to bring one up here. Actually, see, I'm going to go into, I have an offer from eBay. Whoa, yay, offer from eBay. And I can say that the three buttons at the top here, if I hit those, I have some options. I can move it to the folder or a different folder. I can report it as junk. I can again snooze it if I wanted to. I could print the conversation. Well, how do you print a conversation? Well, if I'm at home and I have a network printer connected to my network at home, Apple has done a pretty good job of recognizing it. I've done so many things where I've printed right from my phone. It's like magic. I love it. Because otherwise I'm going down to the computer, going to the laptop, sending something to myself. It's just a mess. So the only caveat that I have sometimes is it won't send the formatting codes exactly. So like margins may be a little different or whatever. But again, it's one of those 80-90% success rates I've had, that if it's on my network, it's literally plugged into a jack in my network at home, Apple, again, I have to be on the same Wi-Fi, all right, it's going to recognize it, and it sees it. So I'm like, yay. I don't think I can do it here. I wonder if it's going to find anything here for me. No printer sold. Okay, yeah, there's printers here. So actually, I'm not going to put this online, but yeah, there's a bunch of printers that have shown up that I could literally print to right now somewhere in this building. So we will go with that yes, it does work for those online. And same options as I would have on a printer. So I could print this email. I could tell it how many copies I wanted. I could tell it the page range I wanted, the paper size, the orientation, the scaling, the layout. There's a ton of features on here. I just have to tell it, what printer do I want to go to today? There's a lot of them. All right, well, I won't do that. I'll let that be a mystery. All right, so that's a great option. We can do those kind of things. And let's see. That's pretty much what I had for tonight. I know we've got a little bit of time left. Let's see what I've got here that I didn't cover. Oh, I do want to go through this. So, all right, so does anyone have any questions on the inbox thing or things I need to pin for next week? I think we covered. So I still want to find out why. I wish say if you could bring your laptop or something, we could try to figure that out. But I'd like to know why that isn't syncing up. Okay, so the question was, what do I look for when I'm buying a new computer or a laptop? I get this a lot, and there are so many choices. It's how do you start? Where do you start? I tried to answer some questions. I didn't put all the questions down, but you know, there's a survey that I want to print out and bring, or just send it to everybody. Like, okay, just like anything, okay, what's my assessment? What is my purpose for the laptop? All right, if it's just to surf the web, it's just to pay bills, it's for gaming, it's those decisions, and it also has to do with our stage of life. I'm not as much into gaming and heavy duty stuff as I used to be, so I don't need all the extra memory or the RAM, or I don't need a brand new Alienware, $3,000 piece of hardware, but I need something that's going to be reliable. If I'm taking this thing and toting it around with me, size is going to be a factor, weight is going to be a factor. I get requests probably 3 or 4 times a quarter for employees who have certain disabilities or have had surgeries that need a lighter laptop because they just can't, carry something big around. Well, the rebuttal always comes back that, well, now the screen's too small. Well, you wanted a lighter laptop. I can't give you a lighter laptop, with a 25-inch screen to it. There's some trade-offs. And again, I think it also goes back to portability. If you're looking for portability, the biggest thing people look for is battery life and screen size. Battery life, can I see it, and how long is it going to last? If I'm on a flight or if I'm traveling or whatever. And again, there's a trade-off. There's going to be sacrifice because, the more technology you put into a device, the quicker that battery is going to run down. So there's those trade-offs. The smaller the screen, the longer the battery is going to going to last. Wi-Fi versus connected. Obviously Wi-Fi is everywhere. That's what we want mobility. We want to be able to sit in our backyard, do whatever, go to the park, and surf the internet. So, what questions should you ask when buying a computer? What factors should you consider? Well, think of the brand. I always try to go back to the brand first. There used to be a lot of generic or clone computers years ago. Basically, they were knockoffs, like your generic prescriptions, right? It's kind of the same thing, but not really. It's got a little bit of a tweak to it. So for most people, the important factors are going to be brands. Acer, Dell, HP, Samsung, Apple. I'm not. Chromebook has a place. I won't totally discount Chromebook. I'm not a true fan of a Chromebook. It's more of a cheaper version of a computer. It's it's not Windows based. So I find that folks that have Chromebooks, they're going to pay less than $200. It's going to do exactly what you want it to do. For the most part, you're not going to be able to download like Microsoft products. You're going to have to use everything online. Most of it are apps that you have to download, and it doesn't use Windows 10, Windows 11. It's its own Google Chrome operating system. So they're a little bit more difficult to troubleshoot for some people. If you have an issue with it, I know I have family friends that have had some of those, and it's just trying to get it connected to a printer. Sometimes it's difficult. I usually say spend a little bit more. Get a Windows device, Windows 10, Windows 11, Apple. That way it's a true operating system that's going to be more compatible with printers, with external devices, with anything else you want to plug into it. Because what's going to happen is you'll trade off the functionality. You get a Chromebook, you pay $160, $180 for a Chromebook, does a great job, then it comes, well, I want to add a printer, or I want to add an external digital device, or I want to add a pen to it or something. I was like, oh, I can't do that. Windows, Apple are tried, true. They have drivers and software that are set to automatically accept those things when you plug them in. All right. So I don't really have one brand or another. I've used my experience with this Acer. This Acer used to be my oldest daughter's. It is probably a little younger than one you have. I did take the mechanical, the spinning drive out of this. I did put an SD in there. So this thing was on its last leg. I was able to flip it open. It was very easy to access. I took the screws out, took the case off, put a new 1 terabyte hard drive in it, SSD, no moving parts, upgraded the RAM. It was like a brand new computer. It runs great. I've gotten another 2 years out of this thing. So I do like Acer. I'm a fan of Acer. Dell, I've used those forever in corporate situations. It's a great corporate device. HP and Samsung are more geared towards consumers. They do have a higher end for corporate, but they make a very good HP laptop, HP Pavilion. I've used HP's a couple years ago, had no problems with it. They had a very long lifespan to them. Samsung, same thing. I've given referrals to folks who've said, hey, I just need a school laptop. Samsung, boom. The screen clarity on a Samsung is very good, but not as good. If you want really good screen clarity, Apple MacBooks are by far, you're not going to find a better screen than the Retina screen on an Apple. They're the best. Dell is probably a close second if you're getting a notebook. One of the, they call it let's see, it's kind of like a convertible laptop, like you can fold it backwards and like the screen goes to the other side and it turns into a tablet. Those screens are phenomenal. They're expensive if you ever had to replace one, but they're very good quality. They're very clear and easy to read. So bulkiness, weight is the other factor. What am I willing to carry around? Again, the larger the screen, the more weight it's going to have. Desktop users may choose a bulkier case if you're using a desktop computer. It's non-mobile, it's going to sit on a desk, and those are going to usually have the most power to them because they're built for that. They're just mobile device, you're going to have a little less capacity. Hard drive and speed. How many files are you willing to store? Are you going to use cloud? If you're going to store everything to the cloud like I do, like all the files I've used tonight, all the ones I use while I'm on the road, none of them are on this physical device. If something happened to this device, I dropped it, poured water on it, it got stolen, I could get a new laptop, log into it, and everything would be ready to go. I wouldn't have very little downtime except deciding what I was going to purchase and getting the money. So anyway, that's what I like about the cloud service, about using like Apple or Apple Cloud or OneDrive or those kind of things. Because you don't have to have a lot of hard drive capacity. I do tell people that to start, get at least a 500 gig to a terabyte. The reason I say at least a 500 is because if you're using a Windows device, about a third of that within the first half a year is going to be consumed by just the operating system. Just the operating system. It's kind of crazy how much storage that takes up. It's crazy how much space you use up. You don't even realize it, how quick it goes. SSD drives are the way now. Very few computers, if any, come with the actual mechanical spinning disks anymore. They're heavier, they break, they're susceptible to droppage and all those things. And once they're dead, they're dead. SSD stands for solid state, which there's no moving parts. It's just memory in there. All right, looking for a processor. I know we talked about this about a week ago. The difference between a Ryzen, Intel. It is the essential part of the computer. It's going to be what is doing all the work. It's your internet. You're just browsing the internet. You're just doing basic bookkeeping or those kind of things. Schoolwork. You're not going to need an i9. You're not going to need even an Intel because there's so much. Now again, if you could find a really good deal on an Intel i7 or an i8 or something, then that's cool. I see more Ryzens on the market than I see Intels right now. It's just the way it is. This here, the Acer, it has an older AMD Ryzen, or not, it's the pre-Ryzen. It's an older AMD chip. So I don't know exactly the model on it. I just know it works really well. It's got a good, we talked about a lot of techie stuff before, the different cores in it. Now my workstation at home, I'm running a Ryzen 7 because I use it for video editing. I use it for occasional gaming, but mainly work and video editing. And I need that extra speed for all the digital rendering I have to do with videos. So that's important because it takes a lot of power. And so does, when we talk about the video itself. Again, basic functions, web browsing, word processing, you're not going to need the best and the brightest of the video card series. You're going to need something on board the laptop or just a basic on board of the actual computer. When you get into more of the heavy duty rendering and video and audio stuff, that's when that comes into play. You almost have to buy a separate. What's that?
Editing photos in Lightroom.
Yeah, you still using the basic video that comes with the computer is enough for just editing photos. Where the necessity really comes in is when you have a film or a large video that's like 4K. Like it's you know, the video sequencing is very high resolution. It's got to do, I mean, there's times where I just have to walk away and let it do its thing for like an hour because the video processing is taking that much time. It's almost more video processing than it is the actual core processing. But yeah, for editing that kind of stuff using Lightroom, that's not going to be a heavy hitter when it comes to video, the actual hardware use. Any questions so far on that? All right, the other thing is RAM, memory, the actual temporary workspace or the scratch pad that's being used. It's totally different than memory on a processor or memory in a hard drive. Hard drive, that's all static, that's all permanent. RAM is temporary, it's volatile. Once you turn the computer off, it's gone. It forgets everything. So I always save your work, right? Because when you're writing that document and you've got things on the screen and it doesn't say saved at the top and you shut it down or whatever, it loses all of that. So peripherals, you know, am I going to hook up extra printers? Am I going to put a DVD player on it? Am I going to put a video, like here I've got a dongle here for my wireless mouse. I've got a USB for the video camera. I've got an external HDMI going into the screen. I mean, this thing's humming right now. It's got, and it's doing well. It's an Acer. I like my Acer. All right. It's also got it's got another port for video for old VGA on the side, so I could hook it up to a more classic style monitor. It has a RJ45 for a network. I can plug the network right into there instead of using wireless. And on this side, it's got one more USB, and I think that's about it. So it's let's see what's back here. Nope, that's it. So yeah, it's got a lot of features on it. Again, that's all I need. There are a lot of bigger, badder laptops that have like all kinds of USB and video and inputs, outputs, all these things going on. And it's like, where do I put all this stuff? You know, I don't have that need. You might. Operating systems, that's the biggest thing as far as when you're saying, okay, how am I going to interact with the computer? You know, what am I comfortable with? Windows is what most folks use, unless you're doing something more in the, I mean, Apple is a lot for, you know, video and other types of things, education. So again, operating system for the most part is Windows. And let's see, there's different versions of that, but for the most part, I think everybody's familiar with those key features. Anything I'm missing out of that list? Say, you know, hey,
The only question is RAM. You had
Yeah.
said the more.
Oh,
the
yeah.
better.
Let me
How
go back.
much?
I missed that.
How much is good?
Anymore, I used to be an 8 gig kind of guy to start. Anymore, I like 16. 16 gig at least minimum. Windows itself, with nothing else running on top, runs best with 8 gigs of RAM. Just Windows. All right. And then you start adding all the extra features. And like I said the other week, I was playing with voice recognition and dictation and speaking and having it type for me and those kind of things. I mean, that takes RAM. Shoot, I can't do it here for the moment, but if I could bring up the task manager, I could show you how much RAM I'm using just in here. This has, I think I've got this to 16 gigs of RAM, and it runs good. If I just had 8 in here, it would struggle. Like you would see, like as I flip the screens back and forth, it would take some more time. It would kind of jerk a little bit or kind of glitch a little bit. So yeah, I'm a. So
That's a
when
good question.
yeah, it is a good question. And when you're looking for that, I always look at, okay, what's the minimum installed, 16, but what's it capable of going to? Now, for most home users, 16 is going to be what you're going to use forever. But you might want the option to go to 32 or to 64. just depends on, say, you know, hey, I'm done with this laptop, I'm gonna give it to my student who's going off to college, but he's going to Purdue engineering, or he's gonna go, you know, to do something more. He's gonna need, or he or she is gonna need, that student's gonna need extra RAM, extra ability to upgrade because of the work they're doing. So just because you see, you know, I love the fact that I can recycle a computer and hand it off. You know, in this case, it was my daughter handing it off to me and saying, hey, Dad, I don't need this. I got something new. Do you want this? Absolutely. Crack that thing open, go on Amazon. Yep, this is what I want. Boom. You know, 3 days later in a weekend hours, I mean, it's brand new. It's looking good.
So does RAM always double, like you said, 16,
Yeah.
32, 6, it
4,
doesn't go like
8,
16, 24?
No. Now, okay, so when you're saying something like that, so there are some marketing ploys that companies will use in their laptops that it will say, you know, well, it's 24 gigs of RAM, but like 6 of that is reserved for your video. So there's video RAM, which is very important. The same thing as RAM for the other stuff that you're doing, especially in laptops they do this. So you'll have all the RAM in one area, but a certain part of that is set aside just for the video processing to do
How are
its
you gonna
thing.
know that when you buy it?
You don't just read the box, but you still don't. Yeah, how do you know? That's why you're here. But I want a dedicated 16 gigs of RAM for what I'm doing. Separate from that would be the video RAM, which is usually 4 to 4 or 8.
And do they, when you buy some, do they tell you that? I mean, is it?
You have to ask. I mean, or just do your homework, do your research. Say,
So
okay.
it's not like in parentheses, V6.
No,
and
no.
then
It will say
16.
VRAM. It would say VRAM. It would say RAM, VRAM for video RAM. You would see that on the box.
Oh.
Yes. So yes, you would see that. But I always say do your research. Check with like Consumer Reports. There's other companies like CNET. ConsumerElectronics.com. Different places you can kind of look at, or you just kind of do your own thing. Say, hey, I want to look at the difference between an HP, Dell, and an Acer, and I want to know what the top brands look like. And then you get into the next thing, which is price. You know, how much am I willing to spend? What's that investment going to look like over time? Am I going to use it, spend this money for 2 years my own, and then give it to my student, give it to my child because they're doing this thing? Or downgrade it because now I have grandkids, and Ethan comes over and he's like 6, he's going to be 7, and he wants to play Minecraft, or he wants to watch a video, or, well, you know what? Doesn't need anything big, he's just going to watch YouTube, or he's just going to play a game or something on it, you know. So you don't have to, you know, if you don't have to, you have enough budget for an expensive one, you should take price into consideration. Choose something that's affordable but upgradable. I cannot believe it's time already.
I know.
My goodness. I never buy warranties, by the way. I never buy warranties. It's a fleece. It's I'm sorry, I don't. You will never, most of the warranties, I'm going to leave you with this. Folks online, warranties for the most part are going to be anywhere from $100 to $300 for a $600 to a $1,400 laptop. There's no part ever $300 is going to more than cover. For example, if a CD-ROM went bad, it's 29 bucks for the most part to find a decent CD-ROM. The keyboard went bad, you could find somebody to replace that for less than 50. All right, I am not a fan of warranties. They suck you in, and sorry, that's where I'm going to leave it. All right, so thank you so much. I appreciate everybody on the line, on the calls and the live streams. So we will wrap it up tonight and see you next week.
Thank you.